Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another Kickstarter critique where I take a look at a different Kickstarter project every single time and give my honest thoughts on how it's being ran. And today I'm very excited because we have a special Fiverr order. So this segment is actually a Fiverr order that you can place if you ever want to get your Kickstarter done. But the creators of Seeds of Origin asked me to check out their project, so that's what we're doing today. And right now it is the 48th most popular project on all of video games. That is Seeds of Origins. It is a classless deep fantasy sandbox MMORPG concluding ... by Jan Muller. So it's only raised $11, which means it is definitely not hitting the mark with people right now. Let's see if we can try and figure out some reasons why. So first we have a very, very generic main image, and I know you want to focus on the artwork here, but I think you need your logo or the name of the game or what system it's going to be for. Is it going to be for Steam? Is it going to be for Android? Is it going to be for iOS? What is this going to be? Something you can play on? A price would be great. I need a little bit more information than generic sky fantasy, especially when you are not an established product. If you're an established product, you can get away with this sort of thing. Now, this was also a little bit atypical because this is a Fiverr order right here. They asked me to do a little bit of research before we got into this Kickstarter page, which is something I typically never do. I like to go in just as complete blind as I can. But I will mention their website right here, which you can easily find. I'll post a link down actually after this. And it's very, very in-depth. Like, they have gone deep into the weeds about what they want this world to be like, and the attributes, and the characters, and the worlds, and the existence, and the ecosystem. Like, and just for example, here, so this is talking about the houses, and the homes, and all the different locations, but also what they want from the inside, and what they imagine these floating islands to look like. But my issue with this website is it feels like the first draft. If you know, sometimes you just jot down notes to yourself, and then your brain just has so much information about whatever you're jotting down that you can naturally connect all those dots, and it makes sense in your brain. This feels like that first draft, and no one went through and said, hey, this doesn't really make sense. I don't know what you're trying to say here. And that comes across in a couple different areas of that. And honestly, if you're interested, I do a rulebook inspection pledge level. And if you'd be interested, I'd be more than happy to go through the entire website and just take notes on that. But enough with Bauer's Hustle Corner. Let's get back into it. But that's what I'm trying to say. So there's a website there. There's a lot of meat that they show off on here. Let's check out the Kickstarter page. Let's go. Boop. All right, Seeds of Origin, concluding the world-building phase, now seeking funding for concept art. Seeds of Origin is a classless deep fantasy sandbox MMORPG, concluding the world-building phase, now seeking funding for concept art. So I think what that means, and so first and foremost, I don't like this description. It's not as clear as I think it actually is clear, but I think it's just so uncommonly seen on Kickstarter. So what I'm reading here is you've created this idea and now you need $32,000 to make the art, and then what happens after that? You know, I would just honestly say this is to make the game, unless it's not, in which case this is going to be a very hard one to get funded. So, but yeah, I think immediately we can fix some things just right from the offset, and we don't have a video. That is absolutely a deal breaker for most projects. And if you look at the statistics, if you do not have a video, and if you don't have a pre-established brand, you are done. You are dead in the water. Unless you have some sort of spectacular image of what it is. You know, like if it's some crazy invention, it's like a hat that turns into a drink or something like that. But you gotta have a video. You gotta have something, even if it's just a personal touch. If it's you saying, this is my dream, this is my ambition, this is what I imagine, you know, this is what the game is going to be about. You gotta tell me more here. Because there's so many people who are going to click this and they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to read. I'm not in the mood to read. And this is a lot of reading. Oh my gosh. So first thing I would recommend is going to look at 10 of the most popular Kickstarters on right now. Just go sort them by popularity, especially tabletop games, actually. Go look at the tabletop games one. And just go through all those and then write down everything they do in their Kickstarters that you like and then try to integrate them into here. Because this is not going to convince anybody that they should give you $32,000. Because normally what I say when I go into the video is all right, so 3 things you got to convince every Kickstarter backer. Do I want it? Can you do it? How much is it? So do I want it right now with no video and then there's reading? A lot of people are just going to be like, done. I am out. So I think you absolutely have to have a video here. Just essential. So, do I want it? Not convinced yet. Can you do it? No. And here's the other part. This looks bad. Because you got to realize that most of the people that back your Kickstarter are going to be Kickstarter backers. You are not going to drive a huge portion of people to sign up for Kickstarter and then get your game. They know how Kickstarter works, they've used Kickstarter, and they expect a certain quality standard on Kickstarter. And unfortunately, Kickstarter's gotten to the point now where it's less of a have your dream come to life. There's still tons of that going around, not saying it's completely dead, but more of a store of just a pre-order sort of polished units. And we have that especially in the board game circuit. It's terrible in the board game circuit, and the board game circuit is the majority of Kickstarter at this point. You have to have this more polished. So let's check over here. I'm a writer, reader, a gamer, a dad, and passionate about developing games in complex and simple systems and the things that make people tick, including myself. So this is not convincing in any way, shape, or form. I need links to some of your work. I need some of your expertise. I need something, a website, a Twitter account, a Facebook, some sort of link right here. Because right now, what I see is one dude saying, I'm going to make a massively multiplayer online role-playing game and you should give me money to do it. And that's going to be a super hard sell. Because, once again, you are the 48th most popular on just video games. So they have 47 things that they could potentially get before they even get to you. And all 47 of those are doing things that you're not. And so it's just going to be really hard to convince them. So what is Seeds of Origin? Seeds of Origin will be a deep fantasy, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Hold up. What do you mean will be? Or no, that's supposed to be a D. To start an MMORPG from the ground up is very ambitious, expensive, and outright stupid. Okay. None of these reasons really matter when it's someone else's money, so why do you care? Go big or go home. That's a question? Wait, so is this you trying to say that this is the question that backers are going to ask? So I'm a backer and I'm asking you the question, hey, none of these reasons really matter when it's someone else's money. Yeah, I don't understand. That's not a question. Is that a question? Seeds of Origin is a passion and potential not to be wasted by rushing for a notch on a belt. It is featured on Kickstarter now rather than 3 years ago because it was in progress. The world is being built. So this question and answer, I don't actually understand what was asked and what was answered. That's exciting, but when can I play it? There is proof that building smaller games, trying concept styles, and getting player feedback enables faster development and a better game in the long run. So that doesn't actually answer the question in any way, shape, or form. The question, that's exciting, but when can I play it? The answer, well, let me tell you when you can play it. There's proof that building smaller games, trying concept styles, and getting player feedback enables faster development and a better game in the long run. Like, that sounds like a politician trying to say, nope, not talking about that! That's like the third thing here. I think that's immediately going to be driving people to the back button. I think you absolutely need to scrap this. So, it's not a game yet, not even a standalone single player, so what am I playing for? I wouldn't expect it to be a standalone single. These are like the frequently asked questions that you think are going to get asked, but I don't see anyone asking them. We know how Kickstarter works. If you had the game, you would most likely just be selling the game. You don't have the game. You're making the game. That's the whole premise of Kickstarter. So this is a very odd area. And I've done, hundreds of these over the last year. This, I will be bluntly honest, is one of the worst starts to a page that I've ever seen. And I'm not trying to say that to be cruel or mean. It's just, look at it from the other side of the computer. You created this, but would you buy this? Would you read through this and say, oh, this person has this locked down? I think you need to get a proofreader. And you can get somebody on Fiverr to do that. Pretty easy. And just so they can try and organize what you're trying to say into a more Kickstarter-friendly way. And once again, that's why I'd recommend going and checking out other Kickstarter projects to see how they handle their business and copy what you like that they do. Because you're trying to do something completely different here, and I think it completely doesn't land. Because right now, this is like an FAQ, which is its own separate area, but the questions are so bizarre. Okay, I'm curious. Tell me more. What? That's... What? Stay a while and listen. The project. Seeds of Origin is broken into 3 sections. Section 1, combat. This will be a standalone single-player release to fine-tune PvE combat, and a fast follow with multiplayer, resulting in a multiplayer online battle arena game. Okay, and now I think anyone that was like, all right, this is a crazy passion project, I'm totally down, I think you might have just scared them off. Because if you're like, all right, I'm going to create this classless MMORPG, it's just going to be a huge, persistent world you can go around and dink around in. Like, if that's what I thought going into this, I'd be like, okay, that's cool. I'd like to see how this ends. If it's cheap enough, I'm going to back. And a lot of Kickstarter backers, especially the super backers, the 6-figure income earners, the people with no kids, that sort of thing, because kids are super expensive. I've talked to a lot of them, and sometimes they just back stuff because it seems interesting, and you pique their interest. But I think when you try and say you're doing this much, this early, because you're just not making an MMORPG, you're making a PvE game, and then you're going to turn it into a MOBA, which is its own whole separate beast. You'll need an entire crew just to manage that. And then you are going to bring it to a massively multiplayer online role-playing game. So you are, in essence, creating 2 or 3 games here. That does not seem realistic to me with what you've showed me, with the amount of polish that you have presented. And so I think you really need to polish. Whoever fights monsters should see it that in the process he does not become a monster. Friedrich Knights. Unnecessary quote. Section 2, existence. Typically referring, and I say that because once again, there's 3 questions you need to convince me of. Do I want it? Can you do it? How much is it? That doesn't help in any of those. And right now, I'm just like, I'm going to go through the entire page because that's what I do. But I don't think most people are getting this far unless it's just for curiosity about how this project is being ran so differently. Typically referred to as crafting, survival, but aptly named existence. Section 3, hard world. Build a 3D world, the physics, the environment, using less. So you are, wow! You're also going to make this into essentially Minecraft, but then you're also going to make it into your own Minecraft. Just Minecraft. So it's MOBA, MMORPG, PvE, Minecraft, just everything. And you're not showing me any video of it. You're not showing me anything. And the other thing is the images that you are showing me are, as you mentioned them in the website, stock photos. And that's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people. Having nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. Okay, I don't know why this is here. Technical lessons. There are many lessons learned specific to Seeds of Origin, from networking, infrastructure, to community management, happening in parallel. So, I am going to try and understand just this one line, because this is exactly what it felt like over here, where it just felt like it was that first rough draft and it needed the extra lines to connect the dots. So, so what section am I on? I don't even know. So we're talking about, so it's broken up into 3 sections, and then you talk about the 3 sections, then we talk about technical lessons, which just seems kind of out of place. I don't know why it's here, but I'm going to try and understand what it means. There are many lessons learned specific to Seeds of Origin, from networking, infrastructure, to community management, happening in parallel. I don't know what that actually means. I think what you're saying is, if I play the game, I'm going to learn skills in networking, infrastructure, to community managing, happening in parallel. Which, that's great if that's what it is, but I think there is a much clearer way to convey this message, because that's a selling point. Like, if this game is going to teach kids or adults, I don't know, because I don't quite understand what you're trying to say here, that's good. You want to mention that. You got to spotlight the positives you have. What the funding is for. Seeds of Origin is seeking funding to do concept art. The concept art is important to turn concepts into reality, enabling both internal and external factors to be better understood. And now at this point, I have to imagine that nearly everyone is out. Because you're not even making this game. Like, you're pitching a game to me, and I'm not making the game. I'm giving you money to pay people to make art. And then I'm going to give you more money to make the game, presumably. Which, once again, you're not going to make yourself, I don't think, are you? Which means you're going to have to hire a crew. And it's just, it opens a whole can of logistical worms. And this is why we don't typically see video game or board game projects do Kickstarters like this. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that I have with this project, is that you are not asking to create a project. You are asking to get art, to then turn that art into another project. You're doing this in bite-sized pieces. And no, I honestly, I think you'd have a better chance of success if you just said $80,000, it's all going to go to make the game, or whatever it may be. And even then, I think we are so far from getting anywhere near that with what we have here. So, Seeds of Origin is seeking funding to do concept art. The concept art is important to turn concepts into reality, both internal and external. Concepts like role-playing is a key component of soft world building, and this explores the role of... So now we're just kind of talking about stuff randomly. What is the funding for? It's for the thing, and then we're just talking about... And then it just looks like you kind of copied and pasted things from the website. Which... What? Stretch goal. Okay, so we got stretch goal. If the Kickstarter significantly exceeds expectations, use concept art and build a cinematic fly-through of a gameplay teaser. Oh... So if we make more money, we should be excited because you're going to take that money and invest it into the project. This is not a good stretch goal area. I don't think this is getting anyone excited because, once again, I don't think anyone is a fan of the actual idea. And that's why we don't see projects like this. Like, I'm failing to remember in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these that I've looked at, one where it was like, yeah, we're just trying to get art done. Unless it's like art. It's just like art projects. This is a video game. You're pitching the meal, but you're saying, hey, we're going to use the money just to buy the ingredients. Why now? The world building is art ready. For those who don't know about world building contains two parts. Hard world building covers how the physical world works, such as planets. Why pay for this? There are so many other things to fund. It's unique. New games try to be as unique as possible to differentiate themselves to draw the attention of potential buyers. So does Seeds of Origin. Research examples include Google searches exploring other games, Steam and GOG, EA, Ubi, and canvassing the Reddit realm and creative communities. Judging by the lack of material found during the research period, a claim can be made that this game is feature unique. So you're saying, hey, you guys should all give me money because I came up with this idea for this game and there's not a game like it. And if you were like a programmer and you were showing off like part of the game of what you want to do, then yeah, I think. And if you were trying to make an MMORPG book, like a role playing book, I don't even know. Like if you were trying to make something that wasn't a video game, I think you'd have a much higher chance of success. But this is just, I don't see anyone being convinced to back. It's ambitious. Games need variety. There are a lot of reusable assets on the market, enabling faster time to market, and there are successful patterns for increasing the middle-of-the-road games or centrist market. But it looks, feels, and acts the same. It's just ambitious to make a fun game differently and introduce just enough new fantasy to be a stepping stone. And here's my biggest thing. And one of my favorite YouTubers, Movies with Mark, says this about some movies he sees. And this is the first time I've ever really seen this in the Kickstarter realm. But then again, I don't typically dip that far down low. This seems a little bit right now, just from an outsider's perspective, as a vanity project. Like, I have such an amazing idea. You should all just give me money, and we're going to make it happen. And and honestly, I've been here. I do this all the time. I have attention deficit hyper disorder, and I'll pop my head into a whole bunch of different things all the time, and I'll go 100% for like, 2 weeks, and then I'll just kind of drop it. And when you do that, you overextend yourself, but you don't go as far as you normally would. And so you create things that are just very lackluster. And that's what this Kickstarter page is. It is insanely lackluster. It is one of the worst Kickstarter pages that I've ever seen. Easily in the bottom 5%. I have no faith in this getting created in any way, shape, or form based on what you've shown me. Which is why I think this needs to be taken down and completely retooled from the ground up. I think you need artwork. I think you need to change the idea, because, and keep this up. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think there is a market for what you're marketing. It's an MVP. The end goal is to make Seeds of Origin into an MMORPG game. To achieve that, the world needs to be further developed, sticking to its roots and goals. I don't know why these are italicized. The roots refer to being a fantasy game first and a commercial product second. These goals are to remain modest, start small, and build trust by growing a supportive community, and then grow fast and have fun. Focus and scope. Why this concept art phase? Artistic connections made through the concept art are invaluable to developing a concept into reality. I feel like the programming is a bit more important here. A fantasy world and a successful game artist needs to get the concept. If you've worked on products before, you realize this is often much more difficult concept. Like, and I don't know who's reading this. I wish you could, as a Kickstarter, man, if Kickstarter could do this, it'd be amazing. If they could show you where people stopped reading your pages, I think that would just be the most invaluable thing ever. Kickstarter, GameFound, one of you take that and give people that information. YouTube gives it to us. They say this is where people stopped watching the videos because they weren't interested. They skipped around. That is so valuable. Where can I find more information? Twitter or the website? Which, once again, here's another thing back here. Twitter and website should both be in this section. So go in there and get that. Because, once again, if you can get people to the website, I think it does a lot more justice to you than the Kickstarter. And to be quite frank, I think that's probably why you sent me to this website first. Because when I went to the website first, and I had not seen, I had no idea that I came into this blind aside from going to this website. That's what I'm trying to say. This makes it look much more impressive because it's organized, and it's not clean and clear, but it just paints, and then like this stock photo right here next to this one, I don't know. I think the stock photos are hurting it as well. They hurt the professionalism of it. And I think on Kickstarter, once again, you're up against hundreds of other projects at any given time. This is not going to move the needle in any way, shape, or form. And we still don't even know about the pledge level. Oh my gosh. So there's the other thing. The three most important things. Do I want it? I'm not convinced. Can you do it? Absolutely not convinced. How much is it? I still don't know what I'm getting or what I'm buying, and I'm 20 minutes into your page. That is a problem, and yes, I know I could just scroll it over here and find out, but when you are on mobile, this is not there, and the majority of people who browse Kickstarter nowadays are on mobile. You need to acquiesce them as well by having all the information in your story. Why are my personal views? Why do I care? Like, no. And I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but as a Kickstarter backer, I don't care about your personal views before I care about the product. Like, you still haven't told me what I get for giving you money. I'm assuming it's art prints or something. I don't know. I have no idea. You haven't even mentioned it. You haven't even alluded to what I'm getting. Why am I giving you money? I don't know. I am a writer, a reader, a gamer, familiar with games, engines, primarily Unity and Run. Okay, so you are a programmer. And I don't... so you did mention you're passionate about developing games and complex and simple systems, but I don't know. I would spotlight something you have done. Anything. Send me to your portfolio. Ultima Online was my first MMORPG, and arguably I had more experience than Richard Garriott. I don't know what that means, but have never made a hit as he did. Then again, he is Lord British. What the French did I just read? Okay, rewind. First, this needs to be tweaked. So let's go. I'm a writer, a reader, a gamer, familiar with game engines, primarily Unreal, Unity, and work in IT for a day job. Ultima Online was my first MMO. There you go. So if you helped design Ultima, then you need to mention that. I would mention that on the image from one of the designers of Ultima Online. If that is in fact the case, and that is who you are, that is going to immediately perk a lot of people's interest. That is immediately going to get a huge group of people who say, you know what, I'll throw $5 at this project, a flyer on it. Unless you're saying that was the first MMORPG you played, in which case, that's something you mention, but I don't know if you mention it like this because it seems like you're being misleading. So I hope that's not the case. And if you did work on Ultima Online, then absolutely. I have more experience than Richard Garriott. So you just name drop Richard. And, well, I'll Google it for all the people who don't know Richard, because, I mean, I think we all know Richard Garriott. He was the video game... So what did he do? Then this guy. He was the CEO and creative director of Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues. So he's a... Okay. Cool. So what we need to do here is, if you are saying that I have a lot of experience designing games, there is a 1,000,000 times better way doing it than this. Because right now, you're coming off as a salty hater. I have more experience than Richard Garrius, but I've never made a hit as he did. Then again, he is Lord British. I don't know what that means. I don't know what Lord British means. I don't know who Richard Garrius is. Like, you need to assume that I don't know these things and fill in the blanks. Once again, what I was talking about. It feels like this is a first draft. You need to connect the dots for people. I find the best experience is original fantasy, and I posit, I think, I don't know what that is disproportionate to your gaming industry. I find the best experience is original fantasy, and I posit it is disproportionate to your gaming industry experience. So what he's trying to say is, hey, my game's going to have better fantasy because all my creative juices hasn't been sucked out by the man. Which, that's actually not... I don't think that's that far off, to be honest. But anywho, but honestly, that's because most companies have to try and color within the lines. Because if you take a big swing and you miss, I mean, a lot of people could lose jobs. So I don't actually disagree with that point. But once again, I think it could be said in a better way. The primary motivation for backing this project is to support the creation of this mesmerizing world. It's complex, but not complicated. We deserve deeper and immersive MMOs. The below is my perspective on the industry, but it's more for comic relief rather than a motivation for the project. You remember when I said vanity project about 3 to 5 minutes ago? I sniffed it then, and now it just feels like a full-blown thing. And it's not a good look on Kickstarter. You need to get rid of this. Well, you know what? Either get rid of it or lean into it hardcore. But don't bury it at the bottom below a bunch of text. If you want to come off as just this boisterous person who wants to just chastise the industry, do it in the video. You're going to reach a lot of people who say, yeah, F this industry, F them, creativity's gone, World of Warcraft sucks, whatever. I don't even know what the hell they're saying, but there would be a group of people who could rally behind you. But I don't think you do it burying it down here. You either need to lean into it or get rid of it, I think. MMORPG, microtransactions ruin the experience. I've been on both sides of this fence. I understand money is required, capital up front for development and running costs, but the running cost is pretty low, lower than ever before. A lot of capital goes into low player value cosmetics with high dopamine spikes. Just read the last patch notes, inspect your to install directory for models, textures, and audio, or ponder the coincidence of DLC drops and financial cycles. It's a business first, a game seconds. I argue it doesn't have to be. Okay, this is a great thing you mentioned in the video. And this would be a big seller for a lot of people who are interested in MMORPGs. No microtransactions. So once again, it shouldn't be buried down here. You got to accentuate the positives. Streamers rate a new MMO title's RPG capability by the fact that you can pick your race and the height of your cheekbones. I think we can and should do better games than that. RPG stands to serve better, as do streamers. So what you're saying is... I don't know what you're saying. I think you're saying you're going to have more customer character creativity customizations or less, or what? Like, because being able to adjust the height of your cheekbones, I feel like that is you spotlighting that they're letting you do a ton of character customization. So you're either saying you're going to do more, which would be cool if you could just create your own body, but I imagine a lot of games... I don't know. I don't know what this is saying, and once again, you got to connect the dots for people. Be a unique character. Join our MMO, they say. How do you do this with 5 core stats and a dozen attributes only to be further limited by class systems? Does it really matter if there are 500 combinations of armor, 250 weapons, 74 races, but 1 or 3 meta builds? So this sounds like someone who's been deeply invested, deeply in the weeds of massively multiplayer online role-playing games. And as someone who has played a lot of those games, I want the person who creates one of these games to be like that. I don't know if you're coming across the way you want to, though. How do you compete in PvP/PvE when the game mechanics reward P2W, poor level balancing, and 5v1 spawn camping over your game knowledge, skills, your reputation, while having total ignorance of your appetite for PvE/PvE and time commitment? Like, that just literally sounds like you complaining the way it's written to me. And I think you just need to get another set of eyes to... Because what you're saying are frustrations people have. But I just think the way they're conveyed is not ideal. Fantasy is an escape from reality. This escape is difficult to achieve, and the player needs to work another 8 hours in-game for progression, only to find no meaning to their game substance living. So they're saying there'll be no grinding, or less grinding. DLC inflation reduces the value of your skills for no other reason than forcing you to upgrade your 10k ship or private island with golden statues become obsolete by the time the game goes live. In games like this, your time commitment isn't value. It ruins the... So what you're telling me is these are a whole bunch of problems, and I'm going to fix every single one of these problems. This is another issue that I have with this campaign. You're telling me all these problems. You're not really telling me how you're solving these problems. You're just pointing things out. That's great. Point things out. Point out a lot of the things that you hate about the genre, because chances are there's a lot of other people that hate those things about the genre, but how are you going to fix it? In most AAA MMO/survival games, the best the industry came up with is an axe made for different materials, but it's still an axe, a faster horse. It feels rather unimpressive that our creativity is limited to the medieval branch of fantasy, given the richness of fantasy and literature, not to mention combining it with philosophy or astronomy. So once again, you're saying, hey, I want more stuff in my game. What is the stuff? What are you doing? How are you doing this? Nothing levels off dopamines like an hour-long tranquil trip across vistas with a palette of warm autumn colors and lush green meadows to guarantee that the next dopamine spike hits hard. Ultra-realistic 3D visuals are great, conscious and subconscious tools, but it's not a substitute for game death. There's a difference between using biomechanics for exploration. Breadcrumbs of visuals can lead to a rewarding and meaningful discovery versus its what the hell are we talking about? I don't even know what we're talking about. I have played lots of MMORPGs. Let's see. The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, City of Heroes, City of Villains, World of Warcraft again, the Phantasy Star Online. I have done quite a few of these, and I am still like, what the hell are you talking about in some of these, which is why you gotta get a proofreader. The above reasons are generalized, and I know there must be some studios that are pulling it off successfully. There must be, right? I'm sure there are. Thank you for checking out this project. So you at no point mentioned to me what I'm actually going to get for giving you money, and I have to go over here to figure it out. Rumpelstiltskin. Riddle me this, riddle me that. These 3 quotes on the project page, each of the quotes has been of great inspiration to the section of the project and the overall world building. If you can guess how the quote will affect the gameplay mechanics, the world, or the character, you will get a VIP... What? Okay, so we're trying to do something different. We are trying to have a game in the pledge levels. I don't have a problem with this. I think it's an interesting idea. So I have to go read the quotes and then guess how the quotes will affect the gameplay. And then and now actually you did do one thing that I like here. You put sounds complicated. Here's an example. I wish you would have done more of this in a lot of the other rest of the page. There was a young lady of white who traveled much faster than light. She departed one day in a relative way and arrived on the previous night. My guess would be that it means there's some sort of bullet time or mechanics in the game that allow you to travel back into time. It works like a save game, but in a multiplayer setting, and maybe it's limited by skill or high cost to the player. The winner is the person with the closest guess to all 3 quotes. So, never seen anything like this done on Kickstarter before. I actually don't have a problem with it at all. You know, if this is like the $1 access to the pledge manager, $1, hey, you're sitting on the fence about whether they're not going to back this, but you could also then turn it into a game, and maybe you can even say, guess in the comments section, or guess in the first update, or guess in an update. Just put this. Something that where you are essentially driving them from here to the updates and to the comments. That, I think, is actually a promising idea, and I'd love to see a different company try and do that. I actually want to talk to some companies and be like, hey, why don't you try and do something crazy with your $1 level? Now, once again, I don't know if this is against Kickstarter rules, because Kickstarter is really weird about giveaways and contests and stuff like that, but assuming it's here, assuming it's good. I actually don't mind this idea at all. I like that idea, and I'd like to see other companies steal that idea. So, credits. This reward binds on a quip. This is a permanent kudos for being part of the project written into the software annals for future generations. So, they're going to put your name somewhere inside of the game, but not actually in the game, because once again, we're not making the game, we're making the artwork. That's not an appealing pledge level. Hey, let people know I supported you by putting your name into the code. So if someone happens to be looking at the code of this MMORPG that we're going to make eventually after we get done sourcing the artwork, like, you see what I'm getting here? This is not an appealing pledge level. Digital assets, access to art finalists. And once again, I'm going to guess that, and here's the other thing. Everything about this project has been very lackluster to me. But the other thing that's glaring to me is the fact that we only have $11, which means you don't have a big pre-built audience for this. I would recommend starting up a Discord. I would recommend trying to get the people that are interested to join and get ideas and potentially look more into Kickstarter projects and see how you want to proceed this project forward, because it most definitely is going to fail unless some sort of miracle happens here. And yeah, but you need to build a fan base. The fact that we got 2 people in the first day means that you didn't even have a bunch of people around you who are friends who are like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. You're going to kick ass. Let's do this. Like, just that kind of support. Because typically, that's what a lot of Kickstarters get. They'll get just people around them. When I did my first Kickstarter game, it was a card game. My buddy's boss, because my buddy helped with the game, my buddy's boss, who's made a good deal of money, was just like, hey, here's $500. I just want to see you guys succeed. And the fact that you're not even getting those tells me that you didn't do enough of the work in the front end even to get this thing to launch to a success. And then you didn't put the work on in the Kickstarter end. And honestly, I get the impression, because this is a paid-for Fiverr, and I think I saw someone else mention this on Twitter. It seemed like a really weird account. I'm going to guess you went on Fiverr and bought a whole bunch of like the social media posts, and we're hoping that that would then draw the buzz there, which is a great plan. Like, I'm here talking about it right now. But you need those people combined with your people, so that way you're going to get up higher on the popularity chart on that first initial day, and that's when you can attract the rest of Kickstarter, who is, going to see this just naturally, hopefully. And I think that's why we need to improve that main image. I think we need to make that more appealing. MMORPG, MOBA, no microtransactions. You got a lot of things you could potentially spotlight here. You don't want to over busy it, but I'm just saying, pick a couple of those, pick and choose, because the main image it's boring. Like, it's just generic artwork. And that's not going to cut it. So then we got the $21 pledge level. Select participant. Not all of us could be a George R.R. Martin to build worlds from the ground up. However, you have a great idea, and if you read the project details right, it sounds like this is the right place to participate. This reward gives you a direct line for sharing your idea. Who knows, it might be the next best thing in you shaping the world. So, what? No! Stop it! Stop it! No one's going to back this. For real, go look at the top 10 most popular video game projects right now. Go look at every inch of them. Scrub them. Spend 40 minutes to an hour really going through every single detail and write down everything you like, and then take your idea and put that into that Frankenstein of ideas that you have there. So what you're saying is, hey, $21, you can give me an idea and I might use it in the game. You are literally saying, don't go to the comments and give me an idea for free. Pay me $21. And that just, no. Digital assets, full assets. The reward includes full behind-the-scenes access to all art. Okay, so this is like the PDF where you get the art. $52. $52 for you to send us art. Come on, man. Come on. $52 to send art? The illustrations may feature notes, illustrators' details as part of the image. So there's a reason no one takes this, is because who's paying $52 for these? Because you're getting the illustrator details as part of the image, so you get the steps in the process. But still, if you had an artist listed, if you knew who your artist was going to be, this pledge level would be live. This would be a great pledge level, potentially, because then you would get that artist fans who want that. But if you're not going to specifically mention who the artist is, this is not an appealing pledge level. So once again, this is one that I think could be salvaged and could be a potentially solid idea, as long as you are showcasing the artist and not you and your game. And once again, if you get an artist on board, that's the kind of thing where if they have a built-in fan base, they can also join that fan base along with your friends and families, along with, the people you just randomly find on the internet, along with all the Kickstarter people, and that's how you get that big first day boom. Let's keep going. All right, pledge levels. Contributor, concept art, $172. Inevitably, some exceptionally talented artists will be left out of the loop. This reward is your... Oh, no. I need a drink. Are you... I'm not going to read it, but I'm hoping this is not you saying you do art for me and then you pay me. I hope that's not what this says. This reward is your chance. You land on this page and feel that you can positively contribute to the project. Your work will be screened with all the other concept art. Your work may be so fantastic, it may be considered for the project. On successful funding, the following happen. You will need to complete some NDA paperwork before project content be shared for background, context, and inspiration. Please note that all content must be born digital, and we can't accept other formats such as scanned or analog drawings. Please do not email or share your work unsolicited. Submissions must be within 1 month after reaching the funding goal. The evaluation will take... So, you're in no way, shape, or form there saying that if you choose my artwork, I'm going to get paid. Which means you're essentially saying, hey, would you like to draw a whole bunch of art for us? Make sure you do it in a very specific way, and then send us that art, and then sign a non-disclosure PDA, sign away pretty much your right to talk about this, and then we might use your art in the game but not pay you. At least we're not going to mention paying you here. But the game's going to be so big that you might get famous because your art is in the game. So you're essentially selling a dream here. And once again, I think this would be a great pledge level if this kicked off to $250,000. If you are for someone from Ultima Online, and it's like you need name brand recognition for this to get pulled off. And the fact that you kept it at 100, sorry, if more than 100 of you want to give us your free hard work, we just can't take that. You have to see that. And that is just such an unappealing pledge level for so many people. I don't see a market for that pledge level. Then we have 350 or more contributor lore. Let me guess. This is where we write the story for you. Inevitably, some exceptionally talented artists will be left out of the loop. The reward is your chance. You land on this page and feel that you can positively contribute to this as copied and paste. Your work in respect to lore, except they changed lore, will be considered for inclusions into soft world building. The reward is limited due to the time it takes to process submissions. Authentication of submissions. Your pitch should be no more than 500 words. On successful funding, we will use your stuff. Please do not email or share it. Yeah, so if you would like to give us $240 and give up your rights to talk about anything, we might steal your idea. When I was reading, it was like, shouldn't it be the other way around? Like, shouldn't I get money providing art or concept? Yes, Patty Pie. That is typically how the system works. And this pledge level, once again, I would have a lot less problems with both of these pledge levels. And I think you can actually change both of them because nobody's backed them. As long as no one's backed a pledge level, you can change them. Oh my gosh, there's another one here. There's another one down here. We got to keep going. But you need to mention something about how they're going to be paid financially. Or else this is just a completely dead pledge level that no one's going to take. If it says down there, and you will then become a, X% stakes in the income of the game, or you will receive, something. You need to put a carrot on this stick, because right now you're just poking them with a stick and saying, hey, give us your work. Streamer Pass. Get the exclusive chance to broadcast contests first. Hot off, off the press. This reward ensures that your stream has unique insider information not available anywhere else. So I'm gonna take a stab in the dark right now and say that the creator of this project has seen, what is it? That show on Apple TV with the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Poppy. Oh my gosh, it's a delightful show. Dungeon Quest, I think it is. It's about running an MMORPG. If you like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia style humor, I think you'll enjoy the show an awful lot. I enjoyed it a lot. But I'm just making that weird prediction. But, because this is kind of what they do there. They have the stream, but whatever. So, I'm saying if you want to be one of our official streamers, you could pay $686. Now, this one actually, I could see getting snatched up really quickly if this were a big project. Like, I actually think this is kind of a genius idea right here. And once again, I go back to the fact that their biggest pledge level and their smallest pledge level, I actually think are pretty genius. Like, that's a full letter grade. Now, granted, everything else is just abysmal. Like, so it's 3 days in, no project update at all. You're not even going to stimulate the 2 people you got, which tells me you're feeling defeated, which is, it's good. Take that, use that, come back, retool. And if you can get this up to, say, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, you get those 50 people hopefully day one. Because if you can get them grandfathered, then they want to be coming along for this process. But you got to make this a game. I'm not even getting your game. You are on video games. You are selling me video games. You are not giving me video games. This is a major issue. There's a lot of major issues with this project, and overall my final grade for this project is an F. This is the worst Kickstarter project I think I have ever seen in the history of the segment, for sure. It needs organization. It needs a goal that is clear and defined. It needs you to spotlight. You know, I just went over it for the last 40 minutes. You get it. But in the end, let me know what your final grade is for Seeds of Origin. And as always, if you're enjoying this content, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below, because when we go on these Kickstarter critiques, you never know what kind of weird, wild journeys we're going to go on. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Bye-bye. Boop.